What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another review, and this time we're taking a look at Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman. Let's waste no time. Let's get right into it. Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman was the first film to cross over two of Universal's most iconic monster movies. How does this movie hold up? Let's talk about it. I overall think that Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman is a good sequel to the first Wolfman movie, but an overall underwhelming crossover movie, and I'll explain why. First off, let's kick it off. The cast in this movie is stellar. Lon Chaney Jr. returns as Lawrence Talbot the Wolfman. He is just as good in this movie as he was in the first movie, though in this movie, he has a chance to express a much more wide range of emotions, and we really get to see his pain and struggle of holding on to this wolf curse that he so desperately wants to get rid of. And this whole movie is about Talbot just going from country to country trying to get rid of the curse of the wolf until stumbling upon the country of Assyria with the old gypsy woman Maliva, played once again by Marie Uspenskaya, who becomes more or less a motherly mentor to Lawrence Talbot, which I actually like that idea of Maliva pretty much becoming a mother figure to to Talbot, since her son was an original wolf. So I like that dynamic. It's good stuff. But he goes to Visaria and he tries to find and they try to find Henry Frankenstein, who has been dead up to this point. However, Chaney, while having one of his wolf spells, stumbles across the ruins of Frankenstein's castle and he finds the Frankenstein monster. Now, on the other flip side, you have this character of Dr. Mannering, who at the beginning of the movie, played by Patrick Knowles, has been pretty much monitoring Talbot and has pretty much been nursing Talbot back to health after Talbot gets resurrected at the beginning of this movie. So at first, Mannering does not believe Talbot is a wolfman. He believes that Talbot is pretty much delusional. So, but he reluctantly agrees to try and help Talbot cure his wolf spell. But in so doing so, at the end of the movie, he just sees the Frankenstein monster, and then a switch goes up in his brain completely out of nowhere that he wants to see the monster at full power. And this is what leads to the Wolfman and Frankenstein having a 3 minute underwhelming brawl. If I have anything big, if I have a big gripe about this movie, it's that the brawl between the Wolfman and Frankenstein is so underwhelming. This movie, like I said, it acts as a build up. It's a good sequel to the Wolfman because we get to explore Talbot's psyche a little bit more, and we get to see him really struggle with the wolf curse of the wolf. But as a crossover movie with Frankenstein, it's underwhelming because Frankenstein, who is played the Frankenstein monster, who is played by Bela Lugosi this time around. Now you were thinking, okay, Bela Lugosi come back on the monster, and goes of Frankenstein. The consciousness of Igor was implemented into the Frankenstein monster. Is that going to be held over to this? No. Frankenstein is diverted back to what he was in his first movie all those years ago. Just this stumbling monster with no rhyme, no reason. But Bela Lugosi's performance as the monster, it's mediocre at best. I think you can tell that he had no desire to want to play the Frankenstein monster, and it clearly shows in his performance. It seems like a half-assed, lazy performance that Bela Lugosi's putting on as the monster. It's like he doesn't even want to do it, and it's a damn shame because Lugosi's a great actor. And if this movie was actually continuing what was established in the Ghost of Frankenstein with the monster having a more wicked personality, I think Lugosi would have relished playing the monster. But in this movie, he's relegated back to what he was in that first Frankenstein movie, and for me, it's a lazy performance that doesn't work. The character of Dr. Mannering, him being Larry's doctor at first is fine, but him having the switch out of nowhere just to get the monster at full strength makes completely no sense, and it was never alluded to until that last few minutes of the movie where he decides, I have to see Frankenstein's monster at full power. Comes out of nowhere. Not once is it ever referenced or alluded to that he wants to see this happen. It's like a switch went off in this guy's head and he has to do this. Well, all the while he's trying to drain the life force out of Talbot to kill him, he does the exact opposite. Why he does this, it's never fully explained. It's very flimsy. And that's the thing with this movie, is that getting the Wolfman and Frankenstein's monster together in this movie is really flimsy. Now, the idea of the old gypsy woman Maria knowing about Henry Frankenstein being a scientist, that I can buy. But the whole thing of the monster coming into play, again, it's really forced and very flimsy when you watch the movie. And it really does come out of left field. And like I said, the monster does not play a role in this movie whatsoever. This movie should have been just called the Wolfman 2 and take the Frankenstein monster out of it and just have Mannering be a Dr. Frankenstein-like character who might be able to help Lawrence Talbot, but instead he does the exact opposite, and he wants to see exactly if Lawrence Talbot can turn into a wolf man and actually wreak havoc. That's how this movie really should have been. It should have been the Wolfman 2 without Frankenstein, because with Frankenstein, it kind of brings the movie down, because the last 10 minutes of this movie should have been the big brawl. Instead, it's saved for like the last 2 minutes, and it barely lasts long. And just as it's getting interesting and goofy, it stops. And that's my biggest complaint. Like I said, it's a very underwhelming movie when you look at it from a crossover perspective. But when you look at it as a sequel and try to view it as a sequel, it's a damn good sequel to The Wolfman. And I overall do like Frankenstein meets the Wolfman. However, there is one thing that I don't that look back then I liked looking at it now. If you were to cut this one particular scene, which is pretty much a dance number, if you were to cut 3 minutes of those 3 minutes out of the movie and apply that to the brawl with the two monsters, it would have greatly improved the quality of what I think is actually a good movie. So yeah, those are overall my basic thoughts on Frankenstein meets the Wolfman. There's more to cover, but those are just that's just how I feel about it. In the end, I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10 because the story focusing on Talbot and the Wolfman really strong, and it really makes this movie very watchable. The stuff with the monster comes across as just being shoehorned and just forced right in. So it's a mixed bag, but it's an overall good movie. So yeah, those are my thoughts on Frankenstein meets the Wolfman, the very first crossover movie in the Universal saga. Like this video and subscribe, and I'll check you back next time for more.